Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Board Game Mechanics. I'm Katie, and with me as always is...
Hey guys, what's going on? It is Jason.
I have no banter. I always think, oh, you should say something at the top of the episode, and then I never know what it is I should say. Do people care when I talk about our lives? Oh, our kids are almost done with school. Do they? I don't know.
They never comment on it, but I mean that doesn't mean anything, I guess.
Guys, what should I talk about at the start of the show? I guess I could rant about something if you want. People seem to like that when I get angry about stuff.
Yeah, you should rant about people complaining that games are broken. You should rant about that.
No, because that's your rant. That's your issue. I don't care. Because once again, I don't really care what people post. I don't pay attention to what they say and whine about. I don't listen to it. Now, I guess in real life when I play with people and they don't play well and they're like, oh, well, yeah, it's because you had this special card or that power. So yeah, of course, that's OP. And I'm like, again, play better. Quit your whining. That's the issue. As long as we have equal access to this card or I get it on a random dispensing of cards, not my problem.
Yeah.
Figure out how to play around it and play better.
I agree with that. And I'll do some raging when we get into some games played because, yeah, I got some stuff to say about one of these games.
If a game is truly broken, I honestly don't think they're going to put it out there for publication. Or if they are, it's not going to be a very well-known game, very popular game that people are going to buy because people can recognize that. It's not rocket science. So this will lead into the news. I saw on the Kickstarter, in Kickstarter, there is this game called, oh man, I forget what it's called. Shoot, that's really anticlimactic since I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head. But it was a game talking about board game nerds, and the title really should be actually. But I don't know if that's what it is.
Was it a mansplaining game?
No, but that's what it looked like. It was oh man, I'm gonna have to look for it. I'm so mad because I'm oh, I'm not gonna talk about this dumb game, and then I still wanted to bring it up because it looked like it was about rules lawyers and people that want to get annoying.
I can look it up while you're doing the news.
I know. I thought I might have it. Now watch. It was the first thing on my Kickstarter feed. And watch, I'll never be able to find it again. Yes, it's called Actually. That's exactly what it's called. The game of nerdy corrections. It is super funded. It's a board game version of College Humor's game show, which I don't know anything about. But people when they do that, really annoy me. And I understand there are people out there that like things to be exact. I have a child who's on the spectrum, and that is something that's really important to her. When I say dinner and she thinks I should mean the word supper, I have to smack her down and say they are interchangeable because dinner is the largest meal of the day, and therefore that is what we're doing for supper. However, when people do it online or do it while you're playing a board game, actually, it says in the rule to do this. Get over yourself. You're not making friends that way. And there are better ways to help explain a rules correction than coming off like an annoying, nerdy rules lawyer. If you feel convicted by this, that's on you. I'm not talking about someone specifically. So if you are getting complex right now, I'm not talking about you. But if you think that, that's on you. But there are people that do this. I have seen them. I see this in comments all the time about it. And I'm like, come on. Why? What are you gaining by that? What do you get besides smug superiority that you are right? Really?
No, the best thing is when they comment on one of your videos and then you say, hey, your comment's wrong. And then after they were all smug about it, that feels pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Well, don't get me wrong. I love to smack people down that feel like they want to be a big old rules corrector. I do this to my students all the time. They want to get snippy with me and be like, well, the instructions say this, or I did that assignment correctly. I'm like, no, you stinking didn't, because I wrote the instructions for the assignment. Not to mention, I'm the one who gets to choose how to grade it. So don't think you're doing yourself any favors by coming at me. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the podcast at all. I don't know how I got on that tangent. I apologize.
Yeah, let's just talk about some news.
Let's talk about news, which that's sort of a news because that's a game out there. I'm not one that I'm covering in news. The first one I want to cover in news has a theme that I really like. I really like gangster theme. I don't know why. Again, like if I were to develop a game, I would like to develop a Yakuza theme game. I think there are some out there, but why is it not a prevalent, big, like cool worker placement game? Like, it needs to happen. Anyway, you hear that? Board game developers out there? Yakuza. Use it. I mean, I don't know if they're going to come after you if you do, like, tap into those secrets, but it would be cool. So, the game that I am going to talk about is called Catch Don Falconi. So, the gangster, in the game, he's escaped from prison. So, one person is playing as Falconi. Then, your other players are playing as different, cops, different types of cops. They're from varied areas. The harbor police, the country police, the forest police. Not, super in depth, but they have different colors of little cars. Don Falconi's got a black car. It's cool. So it's actually a game where you're laying tiles. If you're Don Falconi, you're laying tiles to try to evade the police and get to like a strip, a landing strip where there is an airstrip where your plane is waiting to fly you out of there. If you're one of the cops, you're laying tiles to try and catch Falconi, put him into a dead end. You're trying to avoid getting yourself into dead ends, and also avoid like boxing out the other police as well, because that's not helpful. There's weird things like chili sauce actually is like a booster and it helps you move farther, which I think is completely ridiculous. But it happens. Oh no, you can escape either on an airstrip, you can escape in the harbor, or you can escape on a train in the forest. Sorry. So each of those different police areas comes with different escape cards. And you've got these chili sauce boosters, and you kind of make this general playing field, and then you're laying tiles within it to develop the streets where you're going to drive your cars. The interesting thing about this game is, yes, you've got modular board design, but you can also kind of up the difficulty depending on who's playing. And I really like that that's a newer trend in games because I think it's nice because we like to play games with our kids. And so sometimes you're making up your own house rules to try to make it work, or you're like, you can't play that game because it's just too much. And I like that there are games that are really trying to let you scale for the individuals who are playing, and not even kids, but maybe new people that just aren't good at games. They're like, my grandma, every time I try playing a game with her, she's like, I'm too stupid. And this woman was an accountant for a major accounting firm. She was a consultant. She went in and helped get people together, help them sort out their books. She is so smart, but for some reason she sees a board game and her brain goes blank. I don't understand it. I can't figure it out. It drives me nuts. So I like that I could maybe change this game to make it easier so she wouldn't be so crazy about it. So that's Catch Don Falconi. There are 6 days left in that Kickstarter. Here's the kicker. It's $44 for just the base pledge on this game, which to me seems like a lot for cardboard edge pieces, wooden meeple cars, and then cardboard tiles.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. That does seem like a lot.
But it does look like it would be really fun. So I don't want to poo-poo on it. For some people, $44 is not an issue. And I think they're actually looking to there is one unlock stretch goal that gives you a different map of Little Italy. And I think they're getting close to the other ones like Chinatown and Soho. And so that's cool too. There is a lot of stuff kind of offered with the extra backing, what do they call it? Stretch goals. So I just think it does look cool. So if you like gangsters like me, and even tile laying games. I know a lot of people really like tile laying games. Check out Catch Don Falconi. There's 6 days left on that, $44.
Yeah, sounds cool. I like the theme a lot. That's a cool theme.
Yeah. Speaking of cool themes, the next one is both literally and metaphorically cool. The game is called Ice, and it's really strange because it's the word ice, but yet the letters are spaced out. There's like a space in between each letter. I don't understand that.
Is it like immigration and...
No, it is not about rounding up illegal immigrants.
That's what I thought it was when you were typing it in.
No, it's just how they have, for some reason, stylized the title of the game. So Ice is a game about exploration, and which everybody knows how I hate space. So and I don't really love the Arctic. I'm not big into freezing cold temperatures, so I don't like a lot of that. And there are more games, for some reason, they're talking about that or doing that as a theme. But this one is so gorgeous. Oh my gosh, the artwork on Ice is so pretty. Like, it is insane. Like, normally that's another reason why I don't like space games, and I don't like Antarctic or Arctic type games, because everything looks the same. It is so monochromatic. It's woof. But this one is gorgeous. So you're leading an archaeological expedition to, I don't know if it says exactly where you're going in the ice, but it is cold. Man, there's such pretty artwork. So you like have an expedition team, and the cool thing about this is it's tiles upon tiles. You have like this, I don't know, 2-piece kind of circle. What do they call it? Oh, maybe it's 4 pieces. That kind of goes together so that you can lay tiles in it in layers. So you've got these layers of hexagonals that really give like the theme like fuel in this game, because you will take your explorers, you'll make a base camp. You'll get archaeologists come with you, because it's not like you're just like picking through the ice, but you're looking for artifacts that are buried in the ice, which I think is awesome. And each different group of explorers has like a special powers that you're going to be collecting as you find artifacts. So you get your camp, you start spreading out, you start digging, and so then you're flipping over tiles, and then there's tiles layered underneath those tiles, and so you have to clear enough so you can get a tile clear. You dig under that, you're flipping them over. There are artifacts. There are also powers that are found. You also encounter like some wild animals and stuff. So you got these all cool like hexagonal ice sheet tiles that are all stacked together. It's really cool, and it's even like the different levels are beautiful, and there's less tiles in the deepest level, which is what you're all kind of digging for, and then more tiles. Like, it's the way it expands is awesome. So it's in like 4 parts. These board goes together where you set the tiles into. You're tile mining, you're exploring, you're collecting things, the different types of artifacts that you're collecting on your personal board that they can then be used to unlock powers for you. You're trying to get down to like these special edifices at the bottom. There's also like a bit of a legacy component about these edifices that I don't exactly know what's going on with that. You've got, because your city needs to use these things that you're collecting and finding. It looks like a really neat game. Like, I am so impressed with this. And like, there seems to be a lot in the gameplay. There's also a solo mode. It plays 60 to 90 minutes and is freaking beautiful. So if that sounds anything up your alley, that game is called Ice. There are 9 days left on the Kickstarter. However, the kicker is the base game is $81.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is crazy, especially because they made it look like it's not going to be about what it's about with the name. I don't know. Between that and the misnomer, I think that might be a miss.
I don't know. It just, you get a lot of cool stuff. And then like the more deluxe versions do have some really neat stuff. There's one that has like that 4-piece board is magnetic when it snaps together. You can get some of that art, like actually like print, like art prints later on. The collector box is cool. Like there's some really neat stuff. So maybe other people might like that, but it reminds me of what's that game where you're digging for dinosaur fossils and you move the tiles around?
Fossils.
Okay, so Fossils. That's what I thought it was called, but I wasn't sure. It reminds me in some ways of Fossils, except you don't have like those thicker tiles that slide. It's just like the cardboard hexes, but there are layers to it, and you're uncovering different things at different points in the layers, and I think that's really neat. So that's Ice 9 days, $81.
That does sound cool. I'm not saying it doesn't sound cool. It just is pricey.
Well, and for some people, maybe that's not pricey. For us, it's pricey.
Well, that's true. That is true.
We have a different consideration of pricey, which is anything more than $20, we're going to have to really think about.
Yep.
So my last one is maybe more in keeping with our price point, but it looks, again, a really interesting theme. And the game is called Skyline Express. So you are managing like a sky coach, essentially. It looks like it's a very like family weight kind of game. But what you have is you have a carriage where you are putting passengers into your Skyline carriage. And you've got several different cards that are kind of helping you decide where those passengers go. There are certain you have these service tiles where you want to provide passengers with service, and that is based on where they're sitting. Passengers have different colors, and so that's kind of dictating who they are and where they go. You have some gold tiles on arrangements in your different compartments in your carriages. You've got passengers who have certain preferences where they want to sit, and so you're getting points from all of those, like 3 different types of tiles. Also included in the base game is an expansion where you're also managing their luggage and where it goes and how it all fits, which I think is really neat. This also has a solo mode with some automa tiles that looks like a really good solo mode. There is a lot of really cool stuff just straight up given to you in this game. And so it's one of those games where it seems very simple in how you play. You're placing these tiles of different passengers, and you're going to pattern build. But you are trying to match as many of these different types of preferences and seating arrangements and things as you can to get the most points while you're accomplishing these goals, which I love. And then there's also like a main board where you can go and on your turn, use these different powers or worker placement spots to rearrange your people in your carriage to try, again, maximize those goal things. I love that. So that is called Skyline Express. There's 12 days left on the Kickstarter. It's $52 for the base game with that big expansion, which includes like all the luggage, different cubes, all these tiles, a main board, a scenario book, scoring tokens, a cotton bag, custom plastic insert. There's a lot of stuff, $54. But if you, or $52, but if you're like, $52, a little too much, AKA Jason, they have,
it's just barely too much. Just barely.
Just barely. They have a roll and write version of this game as well available. So you get your carriage sheets. So they have carriages on it. They have goals on there and preferences for arranging people. And then they have dice that are colored to match the different color of carriage passengers. So then you're arranging in a roll and write scenario these people in your carriage, which I think is cool. I think that it's nice they thought of that. So if you want the roll and write version, that's $15.
That's not bad.
I know. And I mean, I would like the full game because I really love like arrange, like how can I maximize what I've got with my goal cards and like double up on where my passengers are to meet more goals and make more points. That's something that I love. That's almost like an engine building type thing that it just makes my brain sing. Like I can't arrange different size tiles on a board for some reason, but you give me like multiple goal cards and I have to manipulate cards that I have to make that work. Oh yeah, all day. Now, if you do back the game itself, you're going to get print and play files as well. You can also go all in to get both the physical game and the roll and write for like $62, which, you get a little discount. It's only $10 more so that you can have that roll and write, which is a different game, but operates along the same principles. I just think that's really neat that they thought of that. Like, okay, maybe you don't want this full game. It is bigger as far as placement goes, and it is more expensive. So they had the $15 roll and write that's got some of the similar feel of it, but at a cheaper price point. So that's Skyline Express.
Yeah, that does sound pretty good. I would play that.
I would too. I know you're not going to back it, but I can dream.
Yeah, I mean, it's just barely out of the budget. Just barely.
Okay, so...
I can't break the rule.
So we get this question all the time. This is free bonus content right here, people. This is a hot take. We get questions all the time, and I see it all the time on board game groups as I scroll quickly past because I don't pay attention, to that. I don't watch videos. Everybody knows. People are always saying, like, how do I decide what games to keep? Or, oh, I bought so much more, and oh, I spent too much. And people wonder, how do you keep your collection? If you live by the Jason Smith rule of board game acquisition, I guarantee that you will not go broke and that you will not have problems with overflowing shelves. Jason will only consider buying a game if it's under $40. Even then, he will first try to get it for free. Then even if it's under $40, he still probably won't back it unless it hits every single tick of the things he loves. So it has to be ugly. It has to have cubes. It has to have tracks, has to have nobles. And it probably is designed by some Italians. So then he would consider spending $40.
I like what I like, okay?
Okay, I'm in the middle of the explanation. Don't interrupt. So if it doesn't hit all his boxes, he's not going to buy it. So in general... Jason only spends money on food and the bills he has to pay. Aside from that, he will not spend money on anything. That is how you don't go broke and you don't have problems with shelf space. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. So all of you can feel bad for me that I don't get to back Kickstarters that I like. I don't get to consider games that I'm like, ooh, doesn't that one look fun? No, Jason's not going to buy it. He's just not going to do it. I mean, I could go out and buy it myself. I could go out and back it myself. I don't think he would stop me, but Jason is the one keeping us from going bankrupt. So I'm trying to respect that.
I was going to say, it's working. We're not like as poor as we probably would be otherwise.
If I were in charge of backing everything I liked. That's why I'm in charge of news. I'm like, oh, I want all these things. And then Jason's like, I'm not going to back it. It's like more than $20. Nope.
Hey, we've backed a couple games and they've shown up. We've talked about it. Our duty has been fulfilled.
But that's all I have for news today.
All right, so let's talk about some games played. So Katie said she doesn't like space, which we've both said that, actually. But we are going to talk about 2 space games this week. And the first one... Oh, let's put that in the wrong spot. And the first one is one that Katie really enjoyed, so we'll talk about that one first. So let's go ahead and get started. So we played...
You were lying to these people.
This game's been out for a bit. It's from designer Tom Lemon, or Layman, I'm not sure how he says his name. And it's called Roll for the Galaxy. So the big brother of this is Race for the Galaxy. They're both rated pretty highly on BGG. Everybody and their mom, except for us, has played these games. But we finally got a chance to play Roll for the Galaxy. So Roll for the Galaxy is effectively a Yahtzee game-ish, where you're using your dice to determine how powerful actions are going to be, and then to select which action you want to take. And then as long as you select that action, everybody else can take that action as well, if they assign dice to it. What you're trying to do is you're trying to build these different types of buildings. Some are going to be planets, some are going to be... I can't remember what the other one is. Planets are basically going to be get you dice and help you get resources, and the other ones are going to be like special abilities that you can use. It's a race to build like 12 planets. You're trying to score the most points, and you're drafting dice, rolling dice, paying to get dice back so you can roll them in the next round. Yahtzee with a little bit of more pizzazz. So I enjoyed this game. I thought it was good. I thought once you got past the symbology and kind of saw all the symbols a few times, you can understand what they meant. But I enjoyed it. I haven't played Race for the Galaxy, so I don't know how they compare. But I like rolling dice. I like assigning dice. I like using dice to complete contracts and fulfill things. So this is a game that I enjoy. Probably not one that we'll buy for what you'll hear in a few minutes, but it is a pretty solid game in my opinion, and I liked it. So what did you think about Roll for the Galaxy? Tell us all of your positive thoughts because I really want to hear them.
I thought this game was dumb. I hated it. I don't know if I hated it because I didn't lose. I didn't win, but I didn't lose. I mean, it was okay. I felt like you couldn't get really a lot of traction. I felt like you were and here's my, everybody knows about my gaming preferences. As Jason said, I like what I like. Although I've got exceptions to every role because that's so me. It felt like you had to specifically go and produce resources and sell them almost exclusively as much as possible in order to win. Whereas I wanted to be like, oh, let's explore. I wanted to explore a bunch of different places and try different things and find synergy between the different cards, places I explored and things I developed. And this game does not allow for that. So maybe it's too simple for me or something, which sounds really pretentious. And I don't mean it like that. I just want to get mechanisms to work together, and maybe it's because I love engine building. I don't know. It was just a big fat disappointment in my opinion, and I don't ever want to play it again, and I don't understand why everybody talks about how this game's so great because it's stupid. How's that?
I mean, I don't think it's stupid, but
it totally
I
is.
enjoyed it.
It's also ugly as sin. I don't know. I had trouble finding redeeming qualities.
What's stupid about it? You're rolling dice and you're assigning those dice to fulfill contracts. There are other games that do that same thing.
And do it better. You can't make these different tiles fire off each other. You can't I can't decide, since you can choose from 6 actions or something, 7 actions, I can't choose to specialize in a different action because I want to go a different way because the game is not set up to allow you to win in any other way. If I could convert some of my other options into more points, or to in-game conditions, then maybe that would work. Are there even in-game gold cards in this one?
Yeah, they're on the triangle tiles.
Oh yeah, they're so few and far between. I had one of those also. There needs to be more of those or something in order to create a little bit more diversity in how you score points in order for me to actually ever consider playing this game again. I was so let down.
What about Race for the Galaxy? Would you try that one?
I never played that. I don't know anything about it.
I think Chris said it's similar to this one, except instead of using the dice, you're using the cards to do the same types of actions.
I mean, maybe if I can, probably not. And I'm not going to play it because I hated this one so much. And since I know they're related and it's also space, not even going to give it a try.
All right. So Katie hates Roll for the Galaxy. I thought it was okay. So there's where we are on that one. The next one is a game that doesn't take place in space. So we have a space game, we have a non-space game, and then we'll get back to space in a few minutes. So this game is an actual tower defense game. It's from Gray Fox, I think, and it's called After the Empire. It might be from Renegade. I'm not 100% sure, but After the Empire, it's a worker placement game where you're using your workers to go out to collect resources, collect soldiers and mercenaries to defend your castle from oncoming attacks from, I'm not sure what the bad people are, barbarians or I don't know. But these people are coming in hordes, trying to tear down your castle, get over your walls to sack you, which basically means kill all of your people. And you're trying to defend them to score points and, to not die, effectively. It's a pretty cool game. I like the worker placement part. I like building up the castle on your player board. I don't love the combat. I feel like it's convoluted. I think Katie might feel differently, but it just feels convoluted. It feels unnecessarily drawn out for what it is on the combat part. I think the rest of the game is fine, but the combat feels really fiddly, and I don't quite like it. But I enjoyed the game. I would play it again now that I kind of know how it plays and how the combat works. Maybe that would get rid of some of the fiddliness too. So that's the disclaimer, I guess. Maybe with more plays, the combat becomes more intuitive, in my opinion. So, yeah, I liked it. It was a game I would play again. Probably won't buy it, but I enjoyed it. So what do you think about After the Empire?
I would like you to buy it because I really like this game. But if it's over $40 and
I think it's way over $40.
It's something I like, of course we're not going to buy it.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'm so oppressed. I hope that's coming across to everyone listening to the podcast. I really liked it. Now, again, the idea that I like this is boosted by, number one, it's a Gray Fox game. I really like Gray Fox games. Number two, I won handily. So I really liked it. I like a lot about this game. Like, it's one of those where you only have so many actions and you always want to do more. And so you got to choose what's the best action. It has like those fun little pieces that you use to build up your tower and you can play with them. Cause everyone knows I have a problem. Thankfully, there weren't enough pieces to completely distract me from actually playing the game correctly. If there had been more things to add besides just the towers and the walls, I probably would have lost because I just would have been playing with all sorts of things on my board. Oh, yeah. It looks like it says on Amazon it's $120. Holy Moses.
Well, it's in between prints. They just did another Kickstarter, so I think that's why. Yeah.
I was like, good night. That's insane.
It's definitely not worth $120.
No, but it is really good. I don't think the combat is a problem, and I think part of that is because it's thematic. It makes sense to me because that's how combat works. And I don't know if it's because I've engaged in more combat than you or something, but I'm like, oh yeah, like I feel like it totally makes sense to me.
No, it doesn't. The archers fire. We fire back at the archers. Then we're just going to stand there and they're going to, we can move other guys over. Then we're going to shoot again. How does that make sense? That doesn't make sense.
No, it totally makes sense. It's like
in World War II, I'm pretty sure they did that. So
it's not World War II.
The Nazis would shoot.
This is the Middle Ages.
We would get our chance of shooting back. There is a very
strict, specific way that combat works, especially when you're fighting against like a fortified structure. Like it totally makes sense.
I mean, I was getting it by the end. I understand how it works. I just think it could have been.
Do you? Because it seems like you're making it into a huge deal when it really isn't that hard.
I understand.
It took me like 2 turns, and I was like, okay, I get what's happening here.
Well, we've established that you're smarter than me. Thanks for bringing that up again.
Just in case you forgot, I just want to make sure you don't get too high and mighty. But I really did like this. I like that. Again, in my own fashion, I used a lot of like in-game goal cards because you can do that as a strategy. And then it's like, okay, well, am I balancing food? Am I going to go heavy on food? Or what if I have like a refugee or a building that helps me out with that? Like there's lots of different ways to work those things and to make what you excel at or what you have the most of work for you. Like I feel like there's so many ways to mitigate what you're doing with your people and your board that I just think it's a good game. I really liked it. I would love to play it again.
Guess how many in-game goal cards I had?
You had the one that you started with, right?
That wasn't even an in-game card. It was a during-game terrible action. That's what that was.
Oh, I had 4 in-game cards.
I got no points in this game, like really at all. I mean, I got some, but it was mostly everything I earned during the game.
Well, and then I like that you're like trying to balance like what you're doing during the game. So like you have these actions that you want to take, but like the points and the money are the same.
Yeah.
And you're punished if you're too far ahead in that when the attack phase happens. So you're like, okay, I want to do these things, but these things also have to make sure that, I'm not farthest ahead on my money, or I don't want to be too far behind because, you can also get points for having the highest at the end of the attack phase. So like the balance, I think, is just, I love that tension. Like there is so much to manage and maintain. And I just really like that about the game. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I like this game. I also think this game is maybe a little too tight for everything that you need to do. You get 3 workers for like the first 3 rounds. You spend workers, like 2 workers usually, building your castle and getting your food supply prepared. You can't do anything else on the board. I don't know how you guys were getting all those cards. I have no idea. I'm looking back at this thing. I have no idea how you had enough workers to go out there and do the thing. I have no idea.
I'm just that good. Like, I don't tell you, like, you just have to make the best decision possible and then allow those decisions to also help fuel other things.
Yeah, I think I need to play this again because I understand how to play. I'm like, I get the game. I know the rules. I don't feel like I could do anything. I was struggling.
Because, like, that's why I was like, oh, if that's a really good refugee card or a really good, like, building card, I'm willing to sacrifice a worker because if it's going to accomplish something else I need to do, like get me food, then it's worth that choice. So that's what I would do. Things like that.
I got it. Yeah. You're clearly better at these games than me.
I don't think it's too tight. Like, I almost thought, like, Praga, like, that game is almost too tight. Lost Ruins of Arnak, almost too tight. But I don't know. I think there's enough flexibility in this one that I enjoy it.
All right, yeah. So we'll be looking for a copy of this at some point when it's not $120.
I know. We'll just wait till everyone's played the fun out of it and I've forgotten about it, and then you'll pick it up on trade.
Yeah, when it's old and busted like 5 years from now, yep, that's when I grab it. Yep,
sounds good.
So the last game we're going to talk about is another space game, and this is kind of a new hotness game that I think is hard to get as well, that has an amazing theme, probably one of the best themes I've ever seen in a game in my entire life.
Stop it.
And
people don't know that you're being sarcastic when you say these things.
And this game is called Dune Imperium. So this is a deck building worker placement game where you're using cards in your deck to determine where you can send workers out onto a board. When you send the workers out, you're going to be collecting spices, water, earning favor with some of the factions, maybe earning money or spending money to get extra workers, putting an extra worker so you can have more money to buy cards, that type of thing. Then you're going to be using the cards that you don't use to assign your workers in a later part of the round to be able to use them for a buying power or to add some additional military to your combat. You're trying to get better cards into your deck. You're trying to have more people in the battle than other people so you can win the conflict in this little tacked on area. I think it's tacked on. I don't know if everybody feels like that, but it feels tacked on to me. But yeah, it's a good game. It's from the designer of Clank. It kind of feels similar to that a little bit, but it's also very different. It's space. The theme is atrocious. Now that I've watched some of the movie, it makes me like the game a little bit less because this theme is awful. This is the worst theme I've ever seen in my entire life in a game. It's awful. Absolutely awful. I can't stress that enough. The theme is garbage. But aside from that, I enjoyed the game and I would play it again. It was a good time. So what did you think about Dune Imperium and its awful theme?
Essentially, Jason doesn't care about theme anyway, so I don't know why he's making like a
it's terrible. It's awful.
You don't care about theme.
I don't care about theme.
You don't care.
I'm just saying, why do they pick this stupid theme for these games? Because the theme is stupid.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, it's not even the theme is stupid. The original movie is stupid. I mean, there may be some of you out there that have nostalgia for the original Dune. I can't understand why anybody likes this movie. I've never read the book. Maybe I would enjoy the book. I like sci-fi. I like fantasy. I read it a lot. I watch it a lot. This movie was awful and quite frankly disturbing on a lot of levels. Like I wish that people felt like I wish they'd used Mad Max. Because essentially you're fighting over a resource in
you could fight over
post-apocalyptic desert. Like it's the same thing. Instead of the spice, make it about gas. Like I don't again, because I actually care about theme. As not aside, we had not watched the movie before we played it. And so the mechanics of the game I think are really interesting. I like that you're trying to make the most out of your worker placement because you only get to play really like three worker placement actions.
Yep.
And so you're trying to balance, okay, how do I get points? Which it has that Stonemaier thing where you play to a certain amount of points, which I really don't like in games. However, the way you get those points is really varied. So I'm willing to forgive that in this game. I love a good deck builder. So for me, I focus on making really good cards. And I don't know that is necessary in this game, but again, you're looking for the different ways to get those points to happen, and some of that is through the combat. I liked the combat was not convoluted, and it was more like an area control kind of issue. There were cards to mitigate when you couldn't get the workers out there. You could use resources like 6 spice would give you like 5 workers or something in the battle. So, and then there's kind of a good equalizer to where after you've battled, those troops obviously are not going to be right back out in the field. They're going back to your supply. They've got to be deployed again. So I like some of the ways that it does things like that. I like that it does. I wish it did it more. Does that faction like boost where, if you have other people in the Fremen, or it's not Freeman,
that's Fremen.
It's Fremen. The Fremen or the
Bene Gesserit.
Yes. That they can give you extra actions. I think that's cool. The idea of playing cards during gameplay with your worker placement gives you certain things, or if you play them in the reveal phase, it can give you something different. I think that's really great. There are asymmetric player powers. I think those are really cool. There's a lot of good stuff to be said for this game. So if I completely disconnect it from the movie, I think it's a good game, and I would really like to play it again. I like a lot of things about it. And I think it's challenging, especially at first. Like it is really hard to get that ball rolling and get those first couple of points until you figure out how you want to focus and what you want to do. A lot of people will go straight for that combat, and that's just never my thing. Area control is never my thing. So I figured a way around it. I actually didn't participate in most battles purposefully. So those 3 workers, like, again, you just have to pick the things that are going to give you maybe multiple benefits, because you can only go to a very small amount of places. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot.
Oh yeah, I think the game is great. The theme is awful.
You don't care about themes, so quit complaining about it. Basically, you're talking bad about the movie. Go for it.
I
Nothing
don't
to do
care
with the
about
game.
the theme. I just don't understand why they would pick that theme to ever put on anything. It's stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I'm sure people feel the same way about Juggalos.
I'm sure they do. But there's one game of that. There's multiple games with the Dune theme.
There's 2 games of that and an expansion.
Yeah, but no one's going to find that other game because it doesn't exist. It's so hard to find. And the expansion is like lost to the world. So there's one game.
All right. I'm still putting it out there. Anybody knows Juggalos? I'm willing to do all kinds of favors in order to get those games.
And the Juggalo theme is 1,000 times better than that terrible game.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious.
You are blinded by your own interests.
No, I'm being honest.
Whatever.
All right, so enough of that. Enough railing on Dune. Let's move on to our main topic today, which I'll let you lead into because I'm not really sure what you want to say here.
So, since it is spring has sprung. It actually, in Ohio, we consider after Mother's Day to be when the chance of freezing is so minimal that you should start planting things. So I've been talking with my friends about, planting gardens and getting things out there. Talking to my kids about different types of flowers that we see when we go on a walk. And I thought there are so many games that have kind of that spring-like theme that are about growing things. Growing flowers, growing plants, growing vegetables, growing gardens. And so I thought, let's talk about those. So this is theme heavy because I'm not just talking about games that happen to have plants involved in them. There are some people who think if there's a plant pictured on the box that it is a game about plants. Dan, they're wrong.
Oh, man, that's what I picked. I picked those.
No, you did not, because I wouldn't let you. And he won't listen to this podcast anyway, so it doesn't matter. I can rail on how he's terrible at picking themes, picking games that have actual themes involved. But these are our favorite games that are themed about growing different types of plants. So, why don't you get started?
All right, so the first one that I want to talk about is a game that we played a lot. It's a little push your luck game about pulling some cherry blossoms out of a bag, and it's called The Legend of the Cherry Tree That Blossoms Every 10 Years, I believe is the full name. But the big words on the box are The Legend of the Cherry Tree, so that's what everybody calls it. So this game is all about the cherry tree blossoming on the 10th year. So maybe the year 1 through 9, we can't talk about this game, but we'll say it's year 10 right now. And then you're trying to collect the blossoms that fall off the tree because you like to have different colored blossoms. So it's about blooming, it's about new life, it's about spring, and it's a great game, so it had to make the list. So The Legend of the Cherry Tree That Blossoms Every 10 Years. Not my number one, but my first pick.
You are like a theme killer, man. For me, there's nothing that says spring more than the blossoming of cherry trees.
This should have been a Dune theme.
Oh my gosh, shut up. I'll just move on from that. Like, I want to talk about how great this game is, how it's pretty, how I love it, but Jason just keeps killing it by bringing up other things. So I'll talk about my first game about growing plants, and that is Genotype. So this is new to us. We actually backed this Kickstarter and paid for it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we did. What now, people? Get off me.
Because
I'm pretty sure it was more than $50.
It was not.
We got the deluxe edition, it was.
We got the deluxe edition?
Yes. See, you don't even know. I could have just gotten the basic one and you wouldn't have even known.
I just am so surprised. I didn't think you knew how to order a deluxe edition of anything.
Yeah, it was painful. Also, our Pacific Rails is deluxe too.
Yes, but we didn't pay for that completely.
Yes, we did. Just we didn't pay the deluxe version price.
Okay, thank you. Stop. You just make yourself look terrible. Like, I don't have to say anything. You just openly flaunt your miserliness.
It's
Terrible.
fine.
Anyway,
I own it. It's fine.
Back to Genotype. I really was interested in this game because it is themed after Gregor Mendel, who is kind of considered to be the father of genetics. And he was a monk who grew and like cross-pollinated pea plants, and that's what you're doing in this game. So you are trying to get different characteristics in your types of peas. You are manipulating Punnett squares. You are planting, harvesting, having helper monks help you using different types of tools. It's just such a fun game, and it seems silly the theme is about growing pea plants and genetics, but I love that about this game. And the artwork is like very soft, and it looks like what Gregor might have done and sketched, in his notebook as he was exploring and using the, scientific method. I just really like this game. So my first choice is Genotype.
Yeah, it's a good game. It does suit the theme. Yeah, I like it on all aspects. All right, the next one I'm going to talk about is a game about grapes. You're growing grapes and then you're stomping them into wine. And that game is called Viticulture. So in this game, you're basically running some vineyards and you're growing grapes and they're aging. So that would definitely meet the theme about springtime and new life coming and new blooming and all that stuff. So it's a good game, worker placement game. You're aging your grapes, turning them into wine. The wine will then age. You can sell the wine. But the wine aspect is not so much fitting the theme. But growing the grapes and aging the grapes, selling the grapes, all that stuff is pretty on point. And I like it. So my second one, Viticulture.
Yeah, I like viticulture. And I didn't even think about this when we first talked about growing plants, but you really are like thinking about what vines go in what field, and do you have like a lattice for them to grow on, and do you have the proper irrigation for them? Like certain types of grapes need more water than the others. Like it is really like a big deal about how you're growing grapes and combining the grapes. And yeah, I like the game a lot. So I love Asian themed games. And like Legend of the Cherry Tree, we did talk about one of the key growing things in Asian culture is the cherry tree and spring. But another key thing, another key plant grown in Asia is bamboo. And so my second choice is Takenoko. Yes, you're moving a panda and you're eating bamboo. Yes, you are the gardener.
He's growing the bamboo, though.
He is growing the bamboo, so he is vital. Irrigating is important. So you are moving water, you are growing different color bamboo, you are sometimes eating bamboo as a panda, but you are fertilizing, like you are making this growth happen. Also, another thing I love about Takenoko is it's got those tactile components where you are actually stacking up the bamboo. That's so important that they interlock and it looks really cute, it looks really cool out on the board. I think that is fabulous. So I just really, and Takenoko is such a game that you can get all kinds of people involved in. And it's just something that appeals to everyone. I really, like it is the type of game that kids love because it looks so cute, and adults like because there's that tangible, I'm moving the panda, I can physically take off these pieces of bamboo to signify that it's being eaten, or I move the gardener and I'm stacking up these pieces. Like that really appeals to new gamers because I think it's a physical representation of what they're doing in the game, and so it just works well. So yeah, number 2, Takenoko.
Yeah, I do like Takenoko. I wonder if more people would give this game more respect if the box didn't look the way it looks.
It's so cartoony, you mean?
Yeah, and like the pinks and the purples, because you know how gamers are. It's not black and broody. I can't play this game. So I just wonder if they redid the graphic design of it, if it would get more love.
But I think that cartooniness, people will come, new gamers especially, and pick that off the shelf because of the colors and the cute panda on it. Like, I think there is something so appealing about that art, and the people that are like all crabby about the game, they can suck it, and I don't want to play with them anyway.
Yeah, no, I think it looks amazing. I was just wondering why it feels like everybody has the game and likes it, but no one talks about it. And I was just wondering what could change that. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so the last one I want to talk about is probably my best example of growing in plants, and it is a game about growing peppers and planting peppers, and it's called Scoville. So in this one, what you're doing is you are a farmer. You're walking around this field, and you're growing peppers. You're cross-pollinating peppers to make them different colors or types of pepper, and then you're going to be harvesting the peppers and selling them for certain chili recipes. So you're basically ultimately growing peppers that have a chili cook-off. But the crux of the game is planting the peppers, cross-pollinating the peppers so you can get the peppers that you need for the best chili. So I really like this game. It's really fun. Sometimes the mixing of the peppers can get a little thinky and get in my head, but it's still really fun. Just a set collection contract fulfillment game that has pretty nice production. So, and it's about growing plants. So my last one, Scoville.
Yeah, I don't love this one. I don't hate it, but there's something appealing about all the different colors of the peppers on the board that really draws people in, and that I think is really cool. And it's got like the little, are they cubes or are they shaped like
the peppers?
Yeah,
they're shaped like peppers. They're different
like
colors,
peppers.
And the more powerful the pepper, the bigger the piece is, like the taller the piece is.
Yeah, I think that's neat. I like that physical component to it for sure. My last one is a game that's not limited in its spring likeness to growing things, although you do grow stuff in this game, but also like new life is born and animals can create babies, and you have like a spring on a farm where you get like new cows and horses and piggies. And that game, of course, the ultimate farming game, in my opinion, is Agricola. Some people hate on Agricola. I don't know why. It's because they're turds. Because for me, like, Agricola has great worker placement. You're trying to manage, like, to diversify what you have. There's cool cards that allow you to have special powers and do different things. And there's shape meeples. I mean, and all kinds of shape meeples. And I love that. So in Agricola, you can grow vegetables. You you plant them in fields and you're harvesting them. You are fishing. You are acquiring animals, and then they have babies so that you have little new life. Like, and maybe it's because I live in the Midwest and I was an FFA kid and I grew up around farm life, but it just feels so homey and right to me. And so that's why Agricola is my last choice.
Yeah, Agricola is a good game. I think people well, Caverna's better, so why should I play Agricola when Caverna does all this? And it adds this arbitrary fighting stuff. I don't know. People, you know how gamers are. This game makes the other game obsolete, so I can no longer play it anymore, even though it's a great game. I think that's the reason why no one talks about it anymore.
And I mean, I never played Caverna, so maybe I would not like Agricola as much as I do if I played Caverna, but it seems like it's fairly different, so I don't know.
Yeah, but that's like saying, I've played a better worker placement game than Lords of Waterdeep, so I never need to play Lords of Waterdeep again. It's the same thing. Like, it's still a good game, so if you want to play it, play it. Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, so those are our favorite games about plants, and there are so many more. There are so many that we haven't even played. Photosynthesis is one of the first ones that came to my mind, but I've never played the game, so I can't talk about it. Right. But we do have some other honorable mentions that we want to talk about. The first one I want to talk about is a game called Rare Roses, which is kind of a little-known game. I think we got this as a...
Yeah, we did a review and they sent us a final production copy.
Yeah, and it's a really cool game about growing roses and meeting like customer demands. And the roses are all these different colors and you can create hybrids. I like it. I don't know why I like this game so much, but I think it's just the uniqueness of the theme and it's very easy, simple to play. Another one that when Jason said Scoville, I thought about was Bonanza. You're a bean farmer, man. And yeah, the beans are crazy and not like beans you grow in real life. But you have fields, you're planting them, you're harvesting them. It's set collection, it's negotiation, but it is about growing plants.
That's true. So we also, when we were looking through the shelves, PDB, Spirits of the Rice Paddy,
PDB.
Rice Dice. Those could be on the list because you're growing rice and the paddies, and that is the definition of planting and watering, harvesting the rice. That's the definition of what we're kind of talking about here.
Yeah, you're doing like the whole life cycle. Like,
yeah,
you're planting, you're flooding the fields, you're
fertilizing
planting the rice, you're fertilizing, you're getting the bugs out, then you're, draining the fields and harvesting the rice. Like, it is like the full cycle of plant growing there.
Yeah, Spirits of the Rice Paddy does more of it. Rice Dice, you're just growing and watering the rice. It's a little less involved, but it's still good. Little Flower Shop is a game about getting flowers in display in your flower shop and selling them. We're not necessarily growing them in Little Flower Shop, but we are making them look pretty for people to buy. A lot of people like to buy flowers in the springtime, I think. I don't know. I'm assuming that. I have no idea.
Jason doesn't buy flowers, so...
I don't buy flowers, so I don't know when you buy flowers. I think it's spring. We're going to say spring just so this makes the list, and that'll be fine. And also, we got a little Kickstarter, another Kickstarter that we backed that had mountain goats, the game called GPS, but it also has a game called Sequoia, where players are rolling dice to grow sequoia trees in their color on these certain cards to try to score points. So like an area control game, but you're growing trees. So since you're growing trees, a tree is a plant, it can effectively make this list. It might be a little bit of a stretch, but it's still, you're growing the tree to be a bigger tree than everybody else.
Yes. I also was looking at Lagrange, which I have never played, but Jason assures me that it is about growing plants.
Yeah, it's effectively like Agricola in Spain. It's the same kind of deal there. You're not you're not growing your family as much, but it has everything else. So you're farming, you're selling stuff to the market, and setting up market stalls and all that stuff. So it's kind of the same thing, but in Spain.
Yeah, it's one of those games that Jason doesn't let me play, so I don't know what it's really about. Succulent is also a game that I have not played. Have I? I haven't played this.
No, I only played it once with Brandon and Josie and Lauren, but that's it.
But you were planting those cute little succulent plants. I mean, succulent plants. They're like the hotness right now. That is like succulents and cacti are like hipsters, like chia pets of 30 years ago. Like, people are super into them and they look real cute. And this game is really cute about growing and arranging your different succulents in your little garden bed.
Yep.
And what might be a stretch, but a game that I really enjoy and almost made my list is Terraforming Mars. I mean, the idea of terra, ground, and you're forming it. Like, you're literally putting things in the ground. You want to get water there and grow green things on Mars. So it's a game about plants in space.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it's a stretch, but it's just probably a little bit out of the box.
Terra Mystica was more of a stretch. I thought about putting that on here because depending on what faction you are trying to grow plants.
That's true. If you're one of the green factions, yes, that's correct.
Yeah. See? It sort of works, but, I don't want to be one of those losers that's like, hey, they're the letters that make the word flower in this game title, so it's a game about plants.
Yeah. I mean, it does work, but that's not the way that we're going.
No, I do better. I do better than that. So what about you guys? What games do you play that are about plants, growth, spring? Tell us about them. Find us on Facebook in hashtag The Riveted, our Facebook group. That place is hopping, and we love to hear from you guys, see what you're playing. So I want to hear if there are more games about plants. I would like to know about that. I like this theme a lot, and I'm sure there are some that I've overlooked. Or show us a picture on Instagram, or tweet us something on Twitter. Also, YouTube. We have all kinds of videos going up all the time. Jason is so diligent in those. I am not diligent in those, but I need to get my act together. And make more videos. I think we're going to have an unboxing actually coming soon from some new cool stuff that we're getting in. So you'll see my ugly mug out there again very soon. But we love to hear from you guys. We love to hear about new interesting games that we don't know about, games that we've forgotten about. Tell us about them in some way. Slip into our DMs, whatever you need to do to keep the communication coming, because we love to hear from you guys.
Yep, and I just want to give a shout out to the Board Game Rundown. We gave them a little bit of trash this episode, a little bit.
Barely.
Barely. But they do have a cool video series where they have a topical discussion each week about something board game related, and it's good. And they're all good dudes, except for Dan. And we like playing games with them and hanging out with them. And if you enjoy good board game content, go check them out.
All right, well, I think that's all we have.
Yep, I'm good.
All right, well, I've been Katie.
And I'm Jason.
Keep gaming, everybody.
Keep gaming.